So, for everybody who's watched me for a bit, I think I've said this before, but I said out of all the groups I've talked to, the ones I hate the most, I mean, I shouldn't say I hate all of them, but I mean, the ones I dislike the most are white liberals. They are the worst people I've ever spoken to, and they are the most racist people I've ever spoken to. Because remember how I said I will take a right-wing racist over a left-wing racist any day, because the right-wing racist will just straight up, like, come up to you and spout nonsense about race realism and shit like that, whereas the white liberal will say tons of racist things, but under the veil of how accepting and not racist they are. So when you try to confront them on it, they won't own it. So an example is, wasn't there? I can't remember the rapper's name. There was a rap song. A rapper was basically bragging about sexually assaulting a woman. The white liberal listens to that and goes, "That's just their culture." You see the problem? Or like, what was it? I think it was in Canada. This was an old video, like 2 or 3 years ago, of going up in an auditorium and asking black people to be civil or quiet down if they're being loud in the audience is white supremacy and racism. To ask black people to be civil or quiet down if they're in the back just, whiling. Which I always thought was fine. I'm like, yes, we're a bunch of monkeys that can't control ourselves. Yes, white lady, thank you. But that's what I mean by that. And we're going to look at a perfect example of what I mean by white liberal racism. Now, before we get into that, yeah, I'm going to keep this format just because it's easier. It's easier on editing. And the reason I don't upload as much as I used to is I despise editing. And this speeds everything up. So I'm going to stick with it for now. Now, today we're going to, go off on the left. I know I normally go off on the right, but that's because I expect better of you. I'll go on the left when I think it's really relevant or they're doing something I actually find really dangerous. Alright, so before we start, let me preface it by using this quote. And now, I hate when conservatives never use this quote to prove your point that white liberals are the worst. I hate this. They cut this Malcolm X quote up and don't use half of it because they want to make the left look terrible, when in reality, he said both y'all bad. But look at this. So keep this in mind as we go through the rest of the video. The worst enemy that the Negro have is the white man that runs around here drooling at the mouth, professing to love Negroes, and calling himself a liberal, and it's following these white liberals that have perpetuated problems that Negroes have. If the Negro wasn't taken, tricked, or deceived by the white liberal, then the Negroes would get together and solve our own problems. I only cite these things to show you that in America, the history of the white liberal has been nothing but a series of trickery designed to make Negroes think that the white liberal is going to solve our problems. Now I'm going to jump down for a second before the right goes, ha, got him. The white conservatives aren't friends of the Negro either, but they at least don't try to hide it. They are like wolves. They show their teeth in a snarl that keeps the Negro always aware of where he stands with them. But the white liberals are the foxes who show their teeth to the Negro but pretend they are smiling. The white liberals are more dangerous than the conservatives. They lure the Negro, and as the Negro runs from the growling wolf, he flees into the open jaws of the smiling fox. One is the wolf, the other is a fox. No matter what, they'll both eat you. And I've brought this up, and it's not as extreme now, but I've brought stuff like that up where it comes to, like, addressing the black community. The left will lie to you and say, we're gonna go and do all these things for you. And the right will just go, who cares? And be like, oh, figure it out yourself. Which is always why I point out why Trump was gaining in the black community, because he was actually addressing things specific to them, because guess what? Middle America, poor area issues are not the same as urban majority black areas, so you have to approach them differently. I know the right gets angry when that happens, but you gotta stop doing that. I'm sorry, it's just how it is. Different areas, different social dynamics, different needs, etc. So we're gonna go into a perfect example of what he's talking about with Sacramento Unified School District of good old-fashioned white liberal racism. And I hate right and left. Do not do this. Both sides get their token blacks out to argue their points, to points of white people, because they just want to make it more palatable to go, see, black people agree with us. The left does this and the right does this. And how you find who's the token? is look at what they say. If it's a black person, say on the conservative side, and the only thing they say is regular talking points that will never rock the boat on the conservative side, then you know it's a token. And the same thing goes to the left. If they'll only say things that usually white leftists say, and they don't say anything to rock the boat, they're a token. Do you think somebody on the right who's black like me would ever get to speak at CPAC because I would go up there and say, y'all fucking up and y'all big dumb? No, they don't want that, because they want their, like, Candace Owens types that says, generic right-wing talking point, everything they do is right, everything the left does is bad. Or they're Abram X. Kennedys on the left that just repeat talking points from racist white liberals. So, that's how you spot tokens. I'm just letting you know. Moving on. So they have their anti-racist classroom, and I've talked to actual white supremacists. I've talked to people in the Klan, generic white supremacists. I haven't really talked to any neo-Nazis, but you know, because I want to know what they think. This sounds exactly like them. You guys sound no different. I'm just letting you know that for real. And watch this. This is where he means white liberals stop us from solving our own problems. Sacramento City Unified School District is committed to a sustained journey of explicit and purposeful learning, reflection, and practice of eradicating systematic racism in our schools. While acknowledging there is no right path, we urge the community and educators to stay the course and having difficult conversations even when it's uncomfortable. So here's something the left did to lie to black people. So what they did is they took the word systematic racism and they perverted it so much that that it's unidentifiable now. Because it is a thing and it is a problem we have to address, but it's a specific thing we can address. But if we know exactly where it is and what it is, we can address the problem. They don't want us addressing the problem. So they've extrapolated it and have tricked people into thinking it's everything. They'll go, all of America and everything it's founded on is all systemic racism. And I go, so what's the problem? America. Okay, well, how do we fix that? Well, we'd have to get rid of the country. Instead, you could narrow it down and point out very specific instances. Again, like I like to use the example stop and frisk because it's easy. We can point that out and stop it. They won't. They'll just extrapolate that to all policing, period, so abolish all police. Which they know will never happen. That way, problem doesn't stay solved. We can keep exploiting racial issues because we don't want them solved. Because at the same time they yell abolish police, they'll say no guns. What do? We gotta make civilian militias, which I'm not opposed to. Sure, why not? But if you took our guns, we'd be at the mercy of the gangs. And then once we all start shooting each other, the left doesn't care when that happens. Here we go. We have created an anti-racist classroom to support opportunities of the district community to learn, connect, and build its capacity to address racism and injustice. This includes providing an understanding of how racism impacts the lived experience of people of color and indigenous people. You know what they mean by this? This is the thing. They want tokens for this too. I've been in these areas. I've gone to these social justice meetings, and I've gone, yeah, racism is a problem. Here's my experience, and here's how we fix it. If you don't say what they want to say, they will make you be quiet. And they will go find the black person that says what the white liberal wants to say. I went to a woke meeting at SMC. I had a video on it where they were doing the segregated classes. I went to that. And I went to the group that was for everybody. And I went to the group that was for black people only. I wanted to go to the white one. I woke up late. But what happened was in the everything one, the moderator was a white lady. And as soon as I spoke up to ask questions, I challenged the narrative. As soon as I challenged the narrative, they kept muting my mic. They wouldn't let me respond. Luckily, the lady didn't know how to perma-mute it, and I just kept on muting it. But then, there was the black-only one, and the moderator was a black chick, and when I challenged the narrative, she just let me talk. So I'm like, isn't that funny how the white liberal is trying to shut the black person up because of their lived experience and what we do about it? Yeah, it's all shit. It's all just do what they say. Do what Whitey says. Here we go. Is systemic and has been part of many foundational aspects of society throughout history and can be manifested in both individual attitudes and behaviors as well as formal unspoken policies and practices within institutions. And then they will never give specifics on this. They'll say this part and they'll never give you specifics and what to do. That's why they go, there's no right answer, because they don't have an answer. I mean, they do, but their answer is whatever their political agenda is, and just leveraging black people as a way to push it. They don't care about you. So we go to their anti-racist classroom, and I'll jump to the parts that matter so this doesn't get too long. So what they do here is what they say they value. We vigilantly work to confront and disrupt inequities that exist to level the playing field to provide opportunities for everyone to learn, grow, and reach their greatness. This is not true. And I'm speaking from experience. What they mean is they get these rich white liberals that will feed this to you through black tokens, that they'll go, black people, you can't reach the potential of white people. We have to bring white people down to you. When there's disparities, they never ask themselves, why are the black kids struggling with this? How do we help them? How do we raise them up? Because they don't want to... Because many of them are actually just the racist white liberals. They go, we have to bring down white people to make it fair. Because black people can't achieve those things. And it's like, there are so many reasons why. It's like, well, reason they want to take money from like rich white areas and funnel it to poor black areas, where instead we have things like with Trump and the Platinum Plan, financial literacy programs, which would actually help in solving problems with poverty in those areas. Because a lot of times in these areas, a lot of financial literacy. You're going to bad high schools. You never learn about things like compound interest, how to start businesses, how to invest, how to do taxes, etc., etc. You see the problem? So those programs would help. Hey, here's how to be better with your money. Hopefully you can save some more money and we'll elevate you out of poverty. The left is just force everybody else down because blacks can't do it. And they'll go, no, it was systematic racism keeping them back. And I'm like, then why do you have to bring white people down instead of addressing the systematic racism so black people can move up? Why? Do you see the thing? They don't want problems solved. That's the point. That's what he meant. That's what Malcolm X means. We gotta fix our own shit. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to white liberals. Don't listen to white conservatives. We gotta fix our shit. Because the relying on the government has never helped us. When we got fucked up shit, you get ignored and thrown away when the conservatives are there, and you get ignored and thrown away when the Democrats are there. We're fucked either way. Again, which is why I was going, hey, Trump's our best bet at getting certain things we are owed. Isn't it funny, and they say these things right down here, a recognition that we have failed to address systemic racism as a district, as a community, as a society. Why is it always in left areas you never do this? Just saying, it's always in the super left areas. Like all the problems they point out is wrong with society always are in the very, very, very liberal areas. Left or liberal. You know, what are you gonna do? Oh, look right here. We're committed to a sustained journey of explicit and purposeful learning, reflection, practice of eradicating systematic racism in our schools. We understand there is no right path, but we must stay the course in having these difficult conversations, even when the conversation is uncomfortable. Yeah. There's no right answer. We're never going to specify what systemic racism is. We're just going to say, oh, there's achievement gap, systemic racism. Get rid of AP classes because they're too white and Asian. Instead of, hey, how do we get the black kids up into the AP classes? No, because that takes effort. And they don't want to use effort. If you're beginning your journey of anti-racism, you may want to start with the Learn tab. Okay, let's do that. And takes you right to everyone's favorite black token on the left. Shocker. Why am I not surprised that that's the voice they always want? Because he just does whatever they say. They just tell him. I mean, he just says whatever the white liberals want. He never rocks the boat. That's why I said token. All right, let's go further into the learning one, and let's go to booked. And second one, White Fragility, written by the biggest racist, the race hustler on the left. And Robin DiAngelo is a racist and just a race hustler that just exploits, people being angry at each other, like racial division. Just breeds that. It's good for a business. She makes a ton of money doing it, so respect the hustle, I guess, but no, fuck that lady. It's funny how you get the white liberals that are always saying like they're racist. A funny game I like to play with them, to f with them, is they'll go like, I am a racist. I have to dismantle white supremacy, and I need to listen to people of color and their lived experience on how to fight racism. So then I will chime in and I will go like, here's an experience I had with racism. Here's how I think we solve it. And it goes against their way of solving it. And then they'll come, wag the finger and lecture me. And then you go, so, okay, hang on. You're a racist. And now you're talking down and lecturing a black person on how to fight racism. You just said you're a racist. Why should I listen to you? Why would I want to listen to a racist about how to fight racism? Especially because you're talking down to a black man who you just said elevate their voices. And then the cognitive dissonance sits in, and then they get very, very angry. Look, the thing is, take away from this, white liberals, stop listening to these race hustlers. Stop listening to these racists that are manipulating you, and that goes for black people too. Stop falling for their trap. Then conservatives understand that there is still a racial component to the US that needs to be addressed, and stop sweeping it under the rug and refusing to address it by saying, haha, white liberal dumb. Okay? Look, I'm sorry, but this gotta have to be both of y'all being big dumb. The only reason the liberal side wins the black vote is because they've got forked tongues and can lie to them. And conservatives, at least they don't say when they're like, whatever. You know what I mean? You smell me, alright? Again, this is what I said. Platinum Plan, at least he had something. He started to address it. That's why the support doubled. But as far as I'm seeing, the right is not learning from Trump. The only thing they learned from Trump is, look, he triggered the libs. And it's like, all right, lose, keep losing. I'm. What do you want me to do? I'm doing everything I can for these people, but they don't like to listen. So I hope both sides learn something. Anyway, you know how it be. Stay safe, don't get shot, and all that. I don't know what else. No, that's it.